All right, Shalom, this is Gamali. I love Great Millstone, Atlanta. I want to give our praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akim pushing out this truth and sincerity. All right, this is a quick lesson, and this is going to be, I don't quite have a title yet, but something along the lines of my conversation with an IUIC Uber driver. And so, I mean, the title speaks for itself. I had a late night Uber one night last week, and the driver had fringes on, and initially I had in my mind, I said, it was late at night. Well, let me establish this first. So initially I wasn't even going to take the ride because I was already in bed. It was late. And I said, you know what, I'm just gonna but I was initially gonna go to sleep, but then it was just kind of on me in my mind. I was like, nah, fuck that, because it was something I had to go pick up my rib's car, because she had left the keys for me. She had went out of town or whatever, so I had to go pick up her car from somewhere, and so. Like I said, I initially wasn't going to take the ride. And I was like, fuck, let me just go ahead and do it. Then Uber was expensive. Matter of fact, it wasn't even Uber. I took a Lyft, but because Uber was expensive, and I don't usually even take Uber. I don't even usually take Lyft, but Uber was expensive because I guess it was late or whatever. So I said, well, let me just try the Lyft prices. And so I downloaded the app. Anyway, I'm saying that to say that this interaction was completely spiritual, because it was like, what are the odds? What are the odds that I get a ride from an Israelite in the wee hours in the morning, and that I didn't even intend on, taking, So anyway, I get in the car, he has fringes on, and, I had in my mind before, I said, I'm going to just sleep. It's late. I said, I'm going to take a nap on this ride, because it was like maybe a 30-minute ride. I said, I'm just take a quick nap on the ride. But then when I seen the Jake have fringes on, and I didn't mention anything first. We do tend to use discretion, and at times, it's all situational. In some cases you may not say anything. In some cases you may not say anything, but then other times the spirit might be on you to say something to Jake. The Jake that got fringes on, like, okay, well, just inquire, like, okay, who you learn from, whatnot, this and this and that. So anyway, long story short, we started rapping, and he said that he didn't say he was in IUIC. He said that really he had just learned the truth maybe months ago, and that he was under IUIC, and initially I didn't tell him about any other I didn't tell him about Great Millstone initially. Off bat, I didn't, and I'm getting ready to play the interaction as well, because I recorded it. But initially, like I said, I wasn't going to tell him, but then because he was new to the truth, I said, well, you know what, maybe that's the spirit. Maybe the Lord aligned this ride to kind of get him away from, if he's one of the elect, he's going to get away from them anyway. But I'm thinking, okay, maybe in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe the Lord, is going to have me kind of like, put the bug in his ear to get away from IUIC, because he wasn't with them yet, but I think he said he was getting ready to I think he was kind of like in the trial period or whatever, whatever. He was in the joining period, the novice phase, where, and I think he said something about what they do is they'll give you like 6 months, and during that period, you just learn, what I'm saying, which is similar to, we don't have a set period, it's all through the Spirit, but they say they have like a trial period, where you just attend class and whatnot. And, then, over a period of time, that's when you get your rank, And so, then it's like, gotta get my charger. Phone's getting ready to die. Bear with me one moment. All right, so yeah, he was in the beginning phase. He hadn't really, he just hadn't really joined them fully. So, I got to talking to him, and I just, I pretty much went into, I went into the whole thing about how they're off, man. You know what I'm saying? I basically, and I'm gonna go ahead and play the audio, and then I'm gonna stop the audio, bring out some precepts, and go from there. But this is just basically for edification's sake. I recorded it because I'm like, you know what? It's not every day that, you run into an IUIC member, or, he's under their, he's under their umbrella. And, he had just learned the truth. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play the clip, You could say there's 3 major camps.
Yeah, see, I don't know. All I know about
the biggest 3 camps.
Okay.
Is IUIC. And you see, he said, because first thing I asked him, I said, are you familiar with any other camps? He was like, oh, nah. He was like, nah. So then, I broke down the history. I said, well, in New York, there was One West, and, all the Israelites stem from One West. And, they should have, if he's in, I don't know how much he had been involved, but, they should have broke down this history if he had, been learning for months or whatnot, but IUIC, they don't really deal with the full spectrum of things. All they really teach you is they kind of really indoctrinate you and groom you just to be like to be a zombie. You know what I'm saying? Just learn, hey, keep the law. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just have a system, but they don't really give you the full spectrum of the truth. All right. It's one thing I noticed about them. See, and you have Great Millstone, and you have ISUPK. And when you go into the history, before there was, now there's several camps.
Oh, for real?
See, that's why I say men's goings are of the Lord. We didn't know we was going to be sitting here talking right now.
Right.
But I've been tapped into the truth for almost 12, 13 years.
Word.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just now hearing about it a couple of months ago, bro.
Yeah, see? So the Lord had this happen for a reason. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there was a school out of New York. This is the history. In the late 60s, there was a school
it started
with One West.
Yeah.
I'm sure you heard of One West. One West was the Israelite school, and that's where everybody went to get the truth at one point. But then you had men that broke off. So there was a split that happened, and then you had men that kind of do their own thing. You have Bishop Nate being one of them. He started the IUIC.
So he went to that school?
And so
Okay.
actually Bishop Nate, the leader of Great Millstone, was Bishop Nate's teacher. His name is Apostle Tahar.
Okay.
Apostle Tahar, really, in my opinion, Apostle Tahar would be the top I'll say Israelite teacher, today.
Okay.
And that's, that's true. That's why we give double honors to the apostles and elders, because Apostle Tahar, he goes back to One West. He was one of the, he wasn't, I think, a part of the seven, but he was basically, kind of next in command. And, Apostle Tahar, because, I mentioned One West school, Apostle Tahar would really, the Spirit was really dealing with him, you know what I'm saying? Well, it still is, but the Spirit was dealing with him at that time to where he was like, one of the leaders of One West, So yeah, today he would say, because why is he the top teacher today? Because he's still showing diligence. He's still doing the same thing. These other, does Bishop Nate go on the highways and byways every Saturday? No. Do these other groups, leaders, still go out consistently on the highways and byways? No. And the scriptures command us to do that. Let's see. Let's get that real quick. Bear with me. Second Timothy 4:2, it says, preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Yeah, so our apostles and elders didn't take breaks. Okay? They were there in season, out of season. Even when they're sick, if the weather's even if, in times of cold weather, sometimes rain, Hey, look, our apostles and elders, they really they really set the bar high, all right, as men of the Lord, okay, and teachers. That's why, like I said, that's why we give them double honors. Verse 3 says, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. Yeah, and this is really talking about these false camps, or Israel. Basically Israel, they're not gonna, endure sound doctrine, and they're gonna turn away to these other teachers. It says, then they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. And that's basically, what happened with these other camps. All right. Their ears were turned away from the truth. Okay. Because, and let me say this, the elders and apostles, they have sound doctrine. Okay. It's sound. It's whole. It's the whole doctrine. Okay. The whole truth. Okay. That's what sound doctrine is. The whole truth. That's why they, it's raw. The Bible is raw and unfiltered. All right, you can't be emotional when you're dealing with the Bible. All right. So let's see. There's another one I was thinking of, Lord willing, it comes to me. There's another precept that came to mind. What was it? Oh, yeah. YAHAWASHI. Okay, Isaiah 30 and 20, it says, and though the Lord give you bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. Yeah, so, yeah, we're going to see our teachers, you know, and the proper teachers. All right. It says the teachers won't be removed into a corner anymore because, hey, we were alienated. We were without the truth for that 350-year period. You know, the time and halftime, you know, and 3.5 years spoken of in Revelations, you know. And but yeah, it says we will see our teachers. So anyway, let's go back. Where is it? Salakia. Here it is. I want to say this without I'm just gonna skip forward. I don't gotta play the whole thing. It's 20 minutes long. You know, if anything else comes up, then I'll do I'll do more on it. But it sold out. They took a deal with Esau. We don't got no proof. We suspect. So yeah, I went there because we do believe that they sold out. Let me go back a little bit. True Hebrew name is YAHAWASHI. I know have you heard that before? YAHAWASHI. Yeah, so I'm edifying. Hey, because this could be a member of the elect. So yeah, he didn't know that. He's like, YAHAWASHI. So what was it? But then I went into how Nate used to teach the name. Let me see if I can catch that. I would even extend the invite for you to see these doctrines.
Wow.
I'm just being truthful, bro.
Okay.
And like I said, I've been knowing this for a minute, but okay. I mean, I can give you examples. Like for instance, they call on number one the Lord's name. They don't really push the Lord's true Hebrew name. He has a Hebrew name.
Wow.
The Lord has a Hebrew name. They call on Christ. And you hear him, he's like, wow. The Lord's true Hebrew name is YAHAWASHI. I know have you heard that before? YAHAWASHI.
I mean, they say words so fast, bro. I can't.
Yeah, and so but see, there's hypocrisy in it because Bishop Nate years ago, he used to use the name YAHAWASHI, but then see, Bishop Nate, he changes things a lot. So years and years. So two precepts come to mind. Let's see. Bear with me. Proverbs 24 and 21. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not. I don't know what happened. Fear thou the Proverbs 24 and 21. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. All right, and that's pretty much Bishop Nate in a nutshell. He's always changing. All right, changing this, changing that. And then let's get this. not this. Let's see. Zephaniah 3 and 9. For then I will turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent. Okay. So a pure language, which is Hebrew, as I said, and when I was speaking to him, I said, Lord, as a true Hebrew name. All right. What is the pure language? Lashawan Tohar. That's Hebrew. That's Hebrew. All right. That's what our ancestors spoke. So any other name, scriptures say there's no other name we will call on there's no other name under heaven, that we will call on, man. So this guy Nate's going off, and we always call it out. Years ago, he's on camera saying, yeah, the name of the Lord is YAHAWASHI, and then he had a whole breakdown of going into the name YAHAWASHI. But now they use the word Christ, and they kind of took that away. Not only that, but Bishop Nate used to be a detective.
What's that?
He used to be a detective in the New York PD, NYPD. He was a detective.
Wow.
That's a known fact. People got his detective picture. Now we suspect, we don't have concrete proof, but we suspect that the IUIC, they had sold out. They took a deal with Esau. We don't got no proof. You say, Jake, no. See, you got to be careful who you know what I'm saying? You got to be more prudent in your search for the truth. You got to be more prudent in your search. You can't just land on one group and just say, hey, well, you know what? Because IUIC, they look packaged, they look good. They got the matching garments. They got this, they got that, But what they don't got is the truth. They don't have the sound doctrine like we read. They don't have the 100% truth. We have the 100% truth. We have the unction. That's that 1 John 2 and 20. It says, you have an unction from the Father, and we have an unction from the Father, and we know all things. Okay? They don't have that unction. Expect that according to different things. Like I said, number one, they took away the name of the Lord. Now they teach Christ. YAHAWASHI.
YAHAWASHI.
YAHAWASHI. Now let me tell you this. Like, if you go back and tell them this, then they're gonna be like, oh man, you was talking to somebody. Like, they gonna try to pull you away from the truth. So what I would say is just keep it to yourself and learn. Like, just Spirit got us right here locked in, for a reason. So, but I would say so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, It's certain things that I could tell you, like, and you'll be like, damn, what? But
I literally just rolled in there last Sabbath, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, even that, right? The Sabbath. See, they believe in what? Friday, sundown to Saturday. So, as you see, I'm building with them. Sundown Sabbath. See, even that, they keep that wrong. I'm going to tell you why. The scriptures tell you that the moon governs the times. When you go into Sirach, I believe it's Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 38, it says that the moon shall... And that's wrong. I had that precept wrong. It's let me get it. I want to say it's 43. You just, sometimes you forget the number of the verse or the chapter. Let's see. 43. Sirach 43:6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. Okay? And that's plain and simple. That don't need to be broken down. The moon governs the time. Okay? From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name. So this is clear. This is plain and clear. They can't get around this. All right? So they going off. All right. Shall serve in her season, and the moon shall serve as a declaration of the times. So yeah, I didn't even read it. I didn't even read that precept when I was speaking with him, but I quoted it, So you're really supposed to keep the Sabbath according to the lunar, which lunar means moon. So you're really supposed to keep the Sabbath according to the lunar cycle, which means that, see what they do, they keep the. All right, I'm gonna fast forward. But yeah, they keep the.
Okay.
See, the ancient world, they didn't have calendars. Did they have Friday and Saturday in the ancient world? No. So what did they? How did they keep time? What did they have to use? They used the moon. They used the Lord set up signs in the heavens for us to be able to keep time. So that's one example of how they go off.
Right.
But you got stop sign right here. I always miss it too. But yeah, man. Let's see what else. But there's no way we can keep the law 100%. Yeah, the law. We can't be. If we were bound by the law, if the Lord said. Yeah, because that was another thing I mentioned. I said, they teach the law, keep the law, but we can't do that. We can't keep the law 100%. All right, look. Either you keep the law or we would all be through. We would all be done.
Yeah.
If it was about keeping, it's not about, we can't keep the law. So that's just a little, and then I want to leave you with this. So let's see. Let's get that real quick. Since we're building on every point. This is Romans 6. Proving my point. Romans 6:14. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. All right. Yes, so we're under grace. We're not under the law. Because YAHAWASHI, he didn't do away with the law, but he revised the law. And I also explained that to him. I said that, we're that was one of the parts that I skipped over, but I went into how basically we're not under the law of sacrifice, because under that law, it was it just, Jake wasn't doing right by it, It says, verse 15, what then shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Yahweh forbid. So the point is, we do keep the law to the best of our ability, but we're not saved by the deeds of the law.
Go right here.
I think, let me see where she left her car. And the reason why is because the Lord, man fell short of the law. So I'm going to fast forward a bit. 16 goes into the mark of the beast. And so it goes, so the mark of the beast is our RFID chip that
now when I was growing up in Sunday church, I heard about that.
See, that's the spirit. So that was Lord planted that seed in your head.
I heard
now IUIC, they don't say it's that. They say that the mark of the beast is sin, which doesn't make sense. Now that's all I'm gonna leave you now. But let me see. I don't see her car. Okay.
The beast is.
Keep going straight. My bad. What they say?
Seven Venice say mark of the beast is the ones that's not keeping the Sabbath.
No, they don't. Cause see, the mark of the beast has to be. It has to. It said
you can't
you buy or sell.
Yeah,
That's the part
so
that
how you
has.
gonna
So
know?
how does it relate to buying or selling? That's the question. But the reason why the chip relates to buying or selling is because that's the future of payments.
Yeah.
They want to implant a device in everybody that will replace your ID. It'll replace your wallet. Go to the right here. I'm just trying to find her car.
That's where I see the market.
Yeah, forgive me, bro.
You good.
But
yeah, they don't teach that, huh?
IUIC don't.
Y'all teach that?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. So yeah. Hey, look, man. It became undeniable that we have the truth. You know, it eventually became undeniable that we had the truth. So you gotta look, man. A part of this, you know, we're breaking down strongholds. These other camps, you know, they're leading people astray. So us as the hopefully elect and you know, prophets of the Lord and teachers, you know, it's our job to clean up their mess and get Jake back on track. Okay? To you know, try to you know, erase their lies, you know. And whether this guy is of the elect or not, we'll see. You know, we did exchange numbers. You know, I told him, you know, I sent him a couple videos. You know, at first he responded. Now he's not responding. Now he's no longer responding. So we'll see. You know, I mean, maybe he'll hit me back. Maybe he's still, you know, but hey, either way it goes, the show goes on, whether he gets it or not. If he doesn't get it, he's just not of the elect. Point blank, period. You know, but he seemed to, you know, receive it, you know, when we spoke. But, you know, like I said, I mean, I didn't hear back from him after the fact, so maybe they got back in his ear. Who knows? You know, but like I said, the Spirit wanted that, you know, if now he doesn't get it and he decides to, oh, I'm gonna go back with IUIC anyway, then hey, all that's gonna happen is, you know, basically that was just me telling him the truth. So now he's marked. You know, now you know he's the Lord's going. You know, if he decides to after now he knows the truth and he decides to go back with him now, hey, the Lord's going. You know, that's between him and the Lord. I'll put it that way. You know,
they messing up.
But listen, bro, come Saturday. You know, so I told him to come to camp. I'm gonna tell you something. All that stuff is like just, it ain't. And then so he also told me, nah, man, fuck them, man. They gonna be hating. If you tell any of them, they gonna be like. So he said, yeah, I told him, you know, I said, you know, don't tell them. Don't go back and, you know, really he shouldn't. I told him he needs to run from them. I said that it's somewhere in the recording, but I was like, man, you need to run from them guys, man. You know. But I told him, so the audio cut out because I was getting ready to get out the car, but then he said something along the lines of, well, he'll repeat it real quick. Let's see. Don't wear all black.
Yeah.
You can't wear all black because it come with a rank.
Yeah, like, and I noticed the guys who had on the all black like this and the black pants, they
were a particular rank.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, so that was something that's news to me. But basically, IUIC, just to put a little inside scoop information on these guys, they say, oh, well, you can't. They told he was wearing all black, I guess, to their class or whatever, and they told him, yeah, you can't wear all black because you know, only guys of a particular rank wear all black. See, where's that in the scriptures? Where is that in the scriptures? You gotta, you know, when you look, man, these guys. Oh, and then I asked him, I was like, oh, well, you know, do you get to I was like, well, how does that work, when you get your garment or whatever? He's like, oh, well, yeah, you don't get a purple garment till you 6 months in or something like that. He might say it, but he was like, yeah, you don't get a purple garment. So these guys are color coding garments. These guys got color coding garments according to your rank. Just weirdo shit, man. Look, that shit, Lord's not dealing with that, man. I'll tell you something. All that stuff is like just, it ain't. Lord not dealing with, the Lord don't care nothing about rank. Like, oh yeah, there is a how do I say? There is a hierarchy, like, brothers that's been, like we have elders and we have men that's been around. You get what I'm saying? But like, it's not really. See, they get wrapped up in the extras. All right, we got the matching garments. We going to march. We doing this. We doing that. See, they got the image of the world. That's really the image of the world. The Lord really,
yeah, man.
Lord not with that stuff, man. I'm telling you, that's the image of the world, like marching and I'm gonna hit you with this. They got a 501c3. You know what that is? A 501c3 is it's a government tax exemption.
That's what churches use.
That's what churches use. So they ain't nothing but an Israelite Baptist church.
Oh, man.
They ain't nothing but an Israelite Baptist church. The Lord not dealing with, the Lord didn't tell, the Lord really told us to pull away. We not dealing with Esau.
No, at all.
We should be separate from that.
Yeah,
but that's why we believe they come from, they working with Esau. You know what I'm saying? So, but you got a good spirit, bro. I could tell you got a good, humble spirit, man. Like, just look, bro. Just look. I would say, like, just come out and you gonna see. You're gonna see. You're gonna see the real. Trust me. You're gonna see the real.
Yeah.
Just come out. We teach on Saturday. Yeah, so, that's pretty much that, But yeah, that was my Uber ride, Lyft ride, with an IUIC member. Well, I guess newbie. I'll say newbie. And yeah, he seemed to receive it, but then again, like I said, we exchanged numbers. I hit him up. He ain't hit back. Hey, whatever, man. Look, Spirit was on me to edify him. Spirit was on me to expose IUIC. And, if he decides to go back with them dudes, then so be it. He's just not of the elect. That's the way I see it. But the Lord used me to as an admonition and a warning, and if Jake don't take heed, and that goes for all you other IUIC people, whoever is an IUIC that comes across this video, hey, you better get away from them. You better get with the right, true doctrine. You better start calling on the name YAHAWASHI. All right, and get with the program. So, Lord really edified, giving all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, KAKWADASH, double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone, Shalom.